Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you're listening to this. Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. Of course, tonight you are joined by myself, Ben, Dan, and of course Nathan for tonight's debrief following yesterday's 2-1 victory against Rotherham United. This is episode 163 of the Fanzone podcast. We're absolutely flying with these numbers. It's pretty crazy, really, the amount of podcasts that we're doing and the numbers in which these podcasts are going up. Titled Millard at the Death. Obviously, Wanderers did a phenomenal job once again to score late on to rescue 3 points when some might have felt that it weren't going to happen. As I said, tonight you're joined by Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
Evening, yeah, I'm good, mate. I had a good Christmas and obviously Boxing Day topped off by Bolton winning and England finally winning a test match in the Ashes. So, yeah, pretty good. And also, as I mentioned with Darryl last week, I think I've been on three-point pods in the whole of 2025, so I've made it 4 finally.
Fantastic. Yeah. Good effort. Dan, how are you? Good Christmas, pal?
Yeah, belting Christmas. Had a really good day with family. A lot of alcohol consumed. No signs of slowing down either, to be honest. But yeah, all good fun. Topped off with a nice win yesterday. There you go, lad. Well done. Cheers to that. Yeah, really good. You can't beat a last-minute winner, can you? So happy days, all good.
No, not at all. Although I much prefer comprehensive 3 or 4 and 5-0 victories, to be honest with you. But depending on what your tipple is, I guess. What about yourself, Nath? Christmas? How are you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, all good. I was just telling Ben before we came on that I've ripped everything down yesterday morning, so it's like Christmas never happened here. I felt like a Scrooge, but the tree was holding on for dear life on Christmas, so I decided that I couldn't look at it looking sad anymore. So once that was, something else came down with it.
What have you been doing to it?
It just gave up. We've had it about 4 weeks, and it was struggling. So I thought it needed to go, and then everything else followed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of taking a tree down, like unboxing it. That's ludicrous.
It's the first time I've done it. It's the first time I've done it. I just thought it needed to go, and I could sit and watch the football and be relaxed.
Treeless.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt like I was back to normal.
Good evening, everybody in the chat so far. Of course, thank you very much for taking your evening, spending it with ourselves. Good evening to Ian. Good evening to Josh. Good evening to Pete, channel member, of course, absolute superstar. Leslie, good evening. At the Wanderer 1963, good evening to you. David, get off Randall's bag, hashtag. Speaking of which, we're going to do a segment that we don't do very often, but we kind of thought that we'd bring it tonight because obviously there's some kind of relevance to it. We're going to bring up player profiles. So tonight's episode might be a little bit longer than usual because I think there's quite a few talking points. So stay tuned for that. That'll come.
Things.
Yeah, that'll come shortly after the Gaffer's Notebook. So yeah, that's the idea of tonight's episode. So I think without further ado, let's get into the post-match reactions and bit of positivity, lads. Yeah, good evening to one or two people late to the party tonight. STG 1969, good evening to you and evening to everybody else who's joining us. Would say as well, just before I forget, Dan is managing the chat tonight in terms of bringing comments and viewpoints to the conversation, of course, and he'll be doing the Fanzone fan focus segment later on. So please do get your comments in there, and of course he'll be saving them as the evening progresses. We'll start with Nathan. Nathan, if you wouldn't mind. 2-1, another late goal, another victory, another 3 points at home, of course, from beaten, I think, since spring at the Tough Sheet. What are your thoughts following yesterday's victory?
Firstly, I think it was an important win after Wickham. I didn't really matter how we got it. It was just important to get 3 points. I think, interestingly, they looked tired, which was a strange one, considering they had a week off. They didn't look the energetic Bolton we've been used to from the off. I thought it was a bit slow going. But in fairness to Rotherham, I just wanted to give them some credit. They did sit deep, but when they pressed and they broke with some pace and some precision, and I thought they caused us a few issues. Their number 7 should have scored that volley in the first half. That was a big miss. But yeah, I think we saw players step up a bit yesterday. I thought Johnston had a strong game at the back. I thought Sheehan was fantastic, as everyone knows, and I think Randall, I know we'll come on to him. I think he had a decent game as well. The most important thing was that Kozia Dewberry got that assist for Sheehan as well. He finally took his man on the outside and cut it back, because I'm sure you gents will agree. He had a few chances in the game where he overthought it, wanted it on his left foot, didn't quite catch it. So I think that'll do him the world of good to have got that assist. But yeah, 3 points is 3 points. It would have been nice to have had 4 or 5, but we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to Dan, if at all possible, on the next one. Obviously, Teddy Chapman-Lowe played a big part, I think, yesterday in terms of getting us the 3 points. What are your thoughts following yesterday? And have you got any kind of opinions on thoughts on not necessarily Teddy, but of course the defence as well, which I thought, like, obviously Nathan just touched upon. Johnson had a cracking game as well, but I think all the back line were decent, with the exception of the right back. I think it was one of these poorer games.
Yeah, I thought as a unit they were pretty solid, like you say. Christie's best game. I thought he looked really leggy, a bit indecisive on ball as well, and he's been good. So mate, you can forgive him a game like that, I suppose, can't you? Sharman Law, decent again. Made that save later on in second half, didn't he? Where he kind of plucked it out of the air and kept hold of it, which from where I was sat, I thought that were in. So really happy with that. You had your usual kind of sweeping and no silliness this time, like the last game. But yeah, as a defensive unit, I think this is probably the longest that I can remember anyway for a while where we've had that level of consistency from Jono and Tole. I think Johnston, he's always been one for me in the past where I think he can have a couple of good games, then have a few stinkers. And he is just an absolute brick wall and a warrior at the minute. And paired with Tole, I absolutely love that partnership. Conway, he was good again. Like you say, Josh Sheehan, he'll get the plaudits for, the 2 goals. Maybe he'd have done better when we conceded the penalty. Not the best pass to Christie, I didn't think. But I really thought Ethan Erahan played well in centre midfield. I really, really like the look of that guy. I'd like to see more of him. Hopefully he can have a run of games at some point, because he just brings something slightly different to the other midfielders. I'm happy. Obviously, when they equalise, you're thinking, here we go again, and it were kind of a mass exodus. But it just goes to show you sometimes you're better off just sticking around and seeing it out, because
absolutely.
One thing you can't say about this team is that they're not going to settle for a point at home. They're going to go for it, and they obviously. That must have been gutting at that moment in the game, but to just kind of reset and go again, I think speaks volumes about like the mentality and the resilience of us to find a way to win. And that's what it's all about, especially at this time of year. Just getting 3 points on the board. It's so imperative, because the games are coming thick and fast, aren't they? And you know what this league's like. Teams can lose to unfavoured teams, and we need to be in a position where we can capitalise on that to keep us kind of shooting up the league, which at the minute, we're 4th, aren't we? So happy days.
Yeah, the responsibility, of course, lies in the players. But responsibility, of course, also lies on us as fans. And I think personally, we just need to be or learn to be a little bit more patient when watching the team as well, and try and not put unnecessary pressure on them to try and move the ball quicker in certain situations when you've got the best part of 10, 11 players sat in behind the ball. And let's be truthful, it's always difficult to break them kind of numbers down. So yeah, I think we have a duty to be a little bit more patient and not get on the backs unnecessarily, which I thought happened in that first half, especially. I think there was a lot of frustration before we scored. With the fact. And listen, obviously, I know everyone's entitled to their own opinions, of course, and everyone pays the money. And I think obviously that Boxing Day you tend to get a few more people that maybe don't ordinarily go as often as others. So maybe that's a contributing factor. Who knows? But yeah, the frustration of mine yesterday was the fact that fans were a little bit OTT in so many ways, other than just the one, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly. Ben, our good mate Max Conway, once again a top performance at left back. Yeah. I think he made a couple of really, really vital challenges once we'd actually scored our second, or one, certainly after we scored our second from memory. Yeah. This kid's going places, isn't he? And can we go on that journey with him is my first question to you. And my second question to you is what do we need to do to change the attitude that we've clearly got at home, which is so good in terms of never say die, and the desire and willingness to win points, and transfer that to the away form? What do we need to do for that? 2 questions for you, pal.
Well, number one is we've got to get promoted. It's pretty simple as that, to be honest. If Max Conway is going to complete his journey to the Premier League, which is where I believe he'll end up playing with us, we've got to get promoted this season, or definitely in the next couple of years. Because the kid is a joke at this level. I mean, me and Darryl had a long conversation about him last week because he kind of erred for one of their goals last week. A bit of a slip, wasn't he, for Coturner's cutting and put in the bottom corner. We spoke about how defensively he's made a couple of mistakes, but yesterday was brilliant. I mentioned that there was 2 headers at the back post, wasn't there, in about 5 minutes I think it was Nombe and Hugill, I think it was. There were good chances, but Conway just put them off enough that they put it wide or put it over.
Can I just before you go on, Ben? Sorry, can I just ask you a quick question? Because I actually thought them clearances from where I'm sat in the North Upper were Jono. Actually, they were kind of very Jono-esque kind of interceptions and clearances at the back post, weren't they? Like all commitment and whatnot. If I cast my mind back to that defeat at Northampton when Max got beaten on that far post, are we seeing an evolution in him defensively when he can pull up performances like that?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's just a thing of experience, isn't it? He's probably been berated for that goal as he should have done, and has been has thought I'm going to stick on my man at the back post and not let that happen again. And he didn't let that happen yesterday, so credit to him. But I mean, as usual, going forward, he was brilliant. I think he created the most chances in the game. I'm pretty sure when I was scrolling through the football stats yesterday. Fantastic. Conway, love him, mate. Had a bit of a conversation about him last week, but he's came back with a brilliant performance. And as for how transferring it to the away form, honestly, don't know. Again, we had a long conversation about this last week. How can we be such a different team home and away, or get different results home and away? Because home, I can't remember us ever being as dominant as this. I mean, we were pretty dominant for a couple of years under Everett, but this is another level to me. I remember in the first half yesterday, obviously, for the first 25 minutes, we basically passed the ball between our centre halves for 25 minutes. We figured out what to do, and then from minute 35 to half time, we had 13 shots, which is a decent number in a 90-minute game. Never mind in 10 minutes leading up to half time. Absolutely peppered him, and Amario, Toley, both probably should have scored, and then Sheehan did score from the corner, which put us deservedly ahead at half time. I know the frustrations from the first sort of 20-25 minutes, as I said, because it seemed like we were really struggling to get it out from defence, never mind create any attacks. But that was more down to them and how they played, and they set up in a pretty good mid block, and they made it hard for us. But as soon as we figured out how to get past that, we absolutely battered them. And again, the only frustration is we didn't make it 2-3 and make it comfortable like we should have done. But how to get that to away games? I don't know, mate. I don't know. There's something about us playing at home. We're so comfortable that again, me and Darryl mentioned it last week. Whether it's the preparation before the game is massively different. Obviously, the travelling and all stuff. You know, you have all your pre-match routines and all that. Whether that massively changes between home and away games, whether that needs to be looked at, or whether it's just simply we can't play the same at home that we do away. So we have to switch it up a bit and go a bit more direct or a bit more tough or something like that. I don't know, but if we can, we need to, because we've got the home form of at the top of the league title winning team and an away form of a lower mid-table team. So,
and just to add on that, and the mad thing is about that, as like not great as we've been on the road this season, just because our own form, and we've all said, haven't we, how important that is if you're going to get promoted. But we're currently on like 1.8 points per game. So generally, you're looking at 2, aren't you? So there's not a great lot wrong with it's just finding out how to just get a couple of them results over the line in it. Because even though we say we're not playing the same away from home, or should we not play the same, when you look at some of the performances where we've gone and we should have won games before we'd gone and conceded and then lost them. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. So it is fine margins. Don't get me wrong, it's really frustrating, but it just shows you, I think, that we're not a million miles away, are we?
No, I think hopefully we'll see elements of that addressed, I think, in January. That will be my hope. With 1 or 2, maybe more senior players, potentially, who may be coming to the end of the contract, possibly, who are playing in the Championship, who might want a contract next season, who knows, in the Championship again. That would be my kind of thought process, all being well. I'm not too sure what Matt Hamshaw were thinking when he was saying that they should have got something from the game yesterday. I'm not too sure what game he was watching, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. A bit of a surprise. But I guess at the same time, he still has to, back his own team to an extent. And in fairness to Rotherham, I do think in parts they played all right. In certain parts, they kind of tried to give us a little bit, didn't they? I guess in many respects.
That Reece James at left back has an absolute whip on him.
Yeah,
the balls were fantastic. And if we didn't have Conway, he's the kind of player you'd be wanting, because he puts some perlers in.
Is he the loan from Sheffield United, or is that
he signed him from Wednesday last season, because he was one of them that went up with Wednesday, and when they signed about 7 players that had already been promoted from League One.
Of course,
most of them turned out to be rubbish. he was one of them that it turned out all right. I think he put the ball in for all 3 of their decent chances first half,
on the left,
and then for them couple of headers second half. Yeah,
and I thought that Jamal Baptiste was decent as well. I think he's on loan, I think, from Sheffield United, I think, if I remember rightly. And they've got that Dan Gore as well, aren't they, from United at number 44, who I wanted to keep a bit of an eye on. And
he was
kind of like the look of him as well.
That Ben Arthur goal, didn't he? He almost scored for a replica of that goal. Yeah, ran through.
I don't think that, I know the what are they now, kind of just inside the relegation zone. I can't see them going down, if I'm honest with you. I've seen worse sides than them. Don't know about anybody else's thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was another thing me and Darryl said last week is I don't remember. I think defence has been very, very good this season. I don't remember having a sustained period in games where we're quite under pressure, where teams are creating quite a few chances. I think yesterday was kind of a rare example of that. Even though we were massively dominant, we should have been out of sight by that time that happened anyway. But it's the first time when I thought, you know what, we've kind of got away with a couple of chances. But I mean, they got away with about 10 times more. So
I think for us, sorry to keep the segment going, but the ball, from what I was seeing, the ball it never dropped right. Conway had a few of them chances where you thought he was going to shoot, but it was behind him or just under his feet. And it's the same for Randall, and I know we're coming on to it, but every pass he got or moment he got where everyone expects something, if you look at it indeed, the ball wasn't right. It was behind him. It was too far, or the ball never sat just right for someone to get, the final shot away to get them, score 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's a fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of individual players and individual situations and moments, let's get into the Fanzone man of the match. Please do get your man of the match shout in the chat. Of course, as I said to you before, Dan's managing the chat tonight, so he'll make sure he brings them to view and hopefully get your comments on screen. I'll start with same orders before. Nathan, your man of the match, please, pal.
I'm going to go for Jono, I think. I thought he was excellent yesterday. I thought he put his head on everything. He was in the right spot. He made some great kind of hook-like clearances, with his face in his own goal, but, kicked it upfield. So, yeah, I thought he was a rock yesterday. I know there's some, obvious standouts, but I think he deserves a mention.
Yeah, no, fair one. For me, I think you'll have to go with Josh Sheehan, to be honest with you. He just, he obviously got the 2 goals, but I think he just allows us to play, really. That's probably the best way of describing him. I also think his partnership with Ethan Erahan as well is perfect, if I'm honest, balance-wise, as a midfield too. Similar to what Dan was saying before, big fan of Ethan Erahan. Hopefully he's not injured. I know he went off yesterday. I don't know, fingers crossed on that one. Because I really like the lad. I think we're sport for choice in that midfield. Doesn't surprise me that Aaron Morley were in the squad once again. And don't be surprised if it's the kind of last time you've seen him play for Bolton. Just doesn't fit. But as far as man of the match goes, Sheehan, wonderful, wizard, fantastic. Yeah, great stuff. Dan, what about you?
I feel like I should go with Sheehan because obviously he's ended up winning us the game, but I'm going to go Jono as well. I just thought he was absolutely phenomenal yesterday. He's just rock solid at the minute and he's so dependable alongside Toll, who I could have gone for as well. But Jono just epitomises what you want in a defender at the minute. So aggressive and uses the ball quite well at times as well. So, yeah, Sheehan was good and I won't begrudge anyone shouting up for him. But for me, I think Johnston was class.
Fair. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Sheehan. So it's up to the chat then between Sheehan and Johnston. It's 2-2. Yeah, I think what I love about Sheehan and what I have a soft spot for players, probably why I like Thomason so much, and I tweeted about him last night. When players have other players signed in their position that are seemingly there to replace them, and again, they somehow make their way back to the team. Because obviously Sheehan signed when we first came into League One. And then in that January, we signed Dempsey and Morley, where you thought, and then as soon as they came in, you thought, all right, these are our new midfield too. And then Sheehan did his ACL, didn't he? Or it was his ACL? Yeah, I can't remember. And was out for a year. And I kind of thought, that's probably the end of his Bolton career, to be honest. When you look at players coming in, obviously, then we signed Magoma, then Thomason broke his way into the team. And then Sheehan was still there again and was our best player the season after, wasn't he? And then again this season we signed Xavier Simons and Ethan Arahan. And I remember quite vividly after that Reading home game, we all thought, wow, well this is the midfield too now. They look fantastic. And then again, Sheehan has made his way back into the team, has probably been our best player over the last couple of months. So yeah, I just say fair play to him for keep battling his way through into the team. And he's had his critics as well about being not the best off the ball. I think he's massively improved in that this season. He has that bit more aggression, a bit more tenacity about him, and he showed that on for the goal. I thought it was unbelievable play for him to he kind of pressed, didn't he, to cut out the pass back to the keeper, and in doing that, it meant he was behind their centre half, who could just nick the ball off him or put him under pressure, so Dolby could nick the ball off him, and obviously in the right place for the finish, and yeah, his first brace of his career. So. Well done, mate.
Good. I think with that, that's where you can maybe look at it from a slightly different perspective, and one that maybe we don't often think about. But obviously, a lot can be said for kind of more senior players in your squad and your team. Obviously, Sheehan is one of them now. Obviously, he's the wrong side of 30, as people like to say. But that has its own benefits, I think, in many respects, because it means that your family's settled, your missus settled, your kids are settled in school, blah, 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 blah. And he obviously, I'm guessing, has certain drivers that some younger players might not necessarily have. Obviously, the last thing he'd kind of want to do is be playing in League One, because I don't think he should be playing in League One. But I think if Sheehan was to fail to get us promoted this season, then he would have to look for another club, because he can't be playing in League One at 30-year-old when you've got that much talent, in my opinion. So I think a lot can be said for them kind of drivers that you may not necessarily think about, and having senior players or older players in your squad can count for a lot of that. I don't know what your lads' thoughts are on that.
I think you're not wrong. I think there's a lot of factors probably behind the scenes, and he's getting the Wales squad regularly as well, and I think that's done in the world of good. Over the last couple of camps, you can see he's just such a confident player now. I think when it took him some time after that injury to get back to what we expected. I do think he's being asked to do a different role. I don't know if you guys agree. I don't feel like he's having to do as much. He doesn't have to pass it back to the centre halves as much as he maybe did. You're seeing Sheehan drive with the ball, which I don't remember him doing under Everett as much. He kind of picks it, drives into that half space a bit more. So
I'd like to see him do more of that, Nathan, because I think he very much. Listen, and he ain't in the same breath as this lad I'm going to mention now, but it reminds me of like a Mark Davis type of drive. Like the way when he does run with the ball and does drive at the defenders, it does make me feel a little bit like kind of reminiscent a little bit, really. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mark Davis was wonderful, weren't he? But I don't know whether that's accurate or not. But yeah, I'd like to see him. I know what you mean.
You know that they're a similar height, aren't they? And similar build. You know. It's like that trend. You kind of close your eyes and you can imagine it's Mark Davis, weaving through defences. He does. Yeah, it's something similar when he does it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's gone to the chat, Dan. Obviously, you've been managing the chat tonight. What's the general consensus who we're going for before we move on? I think
it's going to have to be Sheehan. There's a few shouts for John or a couple for Teddy as well. But it looks like I'm going to say Sheehan is the winner of the Fanzone Man of the Match this week.
Fabulous, yeah, and kind of inevitable, really, given yesterday's wonderful performance. Right, Gaffer's Notebook. Let's hand it over to the resident stat man for his debrief on yesterday's 2-1 victory against Rotherham United.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gaffer's Notebook with the Stat Man. And today we're of course going to review the 2-1 win against Rotherham United in arguably one of the weirdest games I've ever watched in my life. Because you absolutely dominated the game, but it was just weird, wasn't it? The first thing that surprised me was the team selection. I know we've just had Christmas, so I'm sure some of that played a bit of a part, but it was a bit weird, was it not? Marcus Forss up front, Joe Randall in behind. It was a very interesting call, especially against the opposition who were known for sitting off. And Marcus Forss is not the type of striker that you play against an opposition that are sitting off and low blocking, are they? And and Joe Randall, he hasn't played in a while, has he? And could you tell? Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. But we'll come on to that in a little bit. But I would like to say, in the preview, I did say Sam Dolby should probably be playing. And again, I've said that for the last couple of weeks now, but especially against Rotherham, because they sit off and you can put the crosses into the box. And what is Dolby, as we say every week? He's a penalty box striker. He's good in the box. Now, did they sit off? Yes, did they sit off? Let's just have a look at their average positions here, courtesy of SofaScore. Pretty much all of their players are in their own half. And pretty much all of your players were in their half, apart from your two centre-backs and your goalkeeper. But did you cross the ball? Not enough, let's put it that way. But you did dominate the game, to be fair. 66% possession, 28 shots, 22 of them inside the box, 12 shots on target, 3 big chances created. That is pretty mental. But did you capitalise on your domination? Not really. You could ask why. Well, their goalkeeper made 8 saves, which on the face of it is quite a lot. But you're going to have to bear with me on this one. He only prevented 0.3 expected goals according to the stats. And now I can hear you saying, Statman, if he's not in the goal, it's going in, and that is a goal. And you're right, to be fair. But that just means, what the number we've got there, it just means that the saves he made were quite easy. And whether that's the finishes being poor, the chances being poor, whatever, they were quite easy. Also, the central defenders, their back three, they made 9 blocks between them, 3 each. Now, what does that tell you? To me, it says, get your shots off quicker, for the love of God. You're taking too long to get your shot off. You've got to take more first-time shots. And the 2 first-time shots of the game, Josh Sheehan, he scored them both. So get more off first time. And again, we'll come on to that in a little bit later. But it could also say it's the wrong people shooting. Should Josh Sheehan be the man bagging a brace to win the game? Probably not. Marcus Force, the starting striker, took exactly 0 shots. Amario Cozier-Dubry took just 2 out of 28. When Dolby came on, he didn't have one. Burstow had just 1. Kyle Dempsey had none. What's going on? Your attacking players aren't shooting. It's everybody else. So I think that's quite clearly a big issue there. Whether that's a lack of patience, you can't break the opposition down. We've definitely talked about that before, but something's got to change there. That is one big issue. Another big issue, then, is Joel Randall. Now, this man has took a lot of stick, and some of it, rightly so, some of it is just way too far. Like the jeering yesterday, that's never a good sign, is it? But, to be fair to him, he had quite a decent game yesterday. 2 chances created, 2 shots on target, 6 passes into the final third, 8 touches in the opposition's box, and even defensively he was all right. 3 tackles and 3 ball recoveries. But the thing I want to talk about isn't really to do with stats, to be fair. And I know I'm the stat man, so this is radical. But the thing with Randall is he just looks a yard behind everything. Like, I'm just going to read exactly what I put in my notes here because I won't be able to say it as well if I don't. Every time he picked up the ball, he took an extra second to get his head up and look for the pass. An extra second to bring it under control. And an extra second to realise he had to move the ball quickly. Does that sound like a number 10? No, it doesn't. The number 10 has got to be the man who gets you off your seat, who does stuff like you can't quite believe you've seen. He plays the pass quickly. He plays passes that you've not seen before. He's going past defenders, and is Randall that type of man? I think he probably could be, but yeah, I don't know. We go back to one situation in the game where he was on the left wing and he took the ball under control, actually took a touch past the defender, got past him, and instead of getting his head up, looking across the box and putting the ball in on his left foot, he just looked down, kept looking at the ball, just kept looking at it like this. And then the defender gets back to him, and instead of even looking for the cross, he never even looks into the box, he just turns round, passes it backwards. And I mean, his confidence has clearly taken a big hit in the last couple of months, to be fair, since the start of the season. It's not gone well for him, has it? But that's just not good enough. And you've got to call out, otherwise it'll keep happening. And I do feel for the bloke, because he's clearly a talented footballer. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is there, because he is a decent player, and he is, as I tweeted yesterday, he is the right profile for your attacking midfield spot. But is he good enough? I don't know. I'll let you decide on that one. I'll leave you there. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the show, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, as ever, from Statman for his debrief following yesterday's victory. Ben, you was nodding excessively. You want to elaborate a little bit on your nodding, if you wouldn't mind?
No, more so intriguingly, because it's probably the first time I'd slightly disagree with Statman, as I think we'll get onto when we get onto the player profile. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to guess what you're referring to, if I'm honest with you, but I'm not going to do it because I'll bring it up on the player profile, which I'm going to hand over to you now.
Yes, player profile. Oh,
Nathan's dropped off, so yeah, sorry, Ben, over to you. Apologies.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh, he's back. Is he back? Oh, he can wait a minute. Oh, he's back. I'm back. So yeah, player profiled. I think we can all guess who it's going to be. Joel Randall. But to be honest, my point is, and Cole as very kindly said I should reference my, in his own words, my excellent tweet. So he said it, not me. And it's kind of not really a point on Joe Randall. It's more of a point on how fans view players and how fans make their mind up on players pretty early, and sometimes based on not actually how good they are at football, more so. Basically, it was Harvey's tweet actually that Harvey27 on Twitter that kind of provoked the thought. He just put, Joe Randall had a good game yesterday. If you cannot see that, then either football isn't for you, or you've already made your mind up on him and refuse to have a neutral opinion on him. Let's be honest, it's probably the latter. Yeah, I'm not going to go there with the first one, but the second one I do agree with. I think it has been the case that a lot of people have already made up their mind on him. He's kind of the figurehead of the end of the Everett era as well, which was pretty awful. He joined at the time where he left, and he was the last signing, which I think if we could all go back, we would say stupid signing. But still, that's not the point. My point is, then I quote tweeted that saying, not to deep it too much, but Joe Randall is a case study on how aesthetics and first impressions make a huge impact on how football fans view players and their impact on a game rather than their actual impact on a game. I see also Kyle Dempsey for the opposite end of the scale, because I think Kyle Dempsey and Joe Randall are pretty interesting to look at as opposites. Kyle Dempsey, I mentioned afterwards, is a northern guy who is honest and looks hardworking, has a nice personality, and goes around tackling everyone. Comes onto the pitch and has loads of energy and scored some goals for us, obviously including the one at Wembley. We associate him with some good times, and of course when he came in, we went on a pretty good run towards the end of the season and our first season in League One. To me, the reality is with Kyle Dempsey, I love him. Don't get me wrong. I'm part of the fan base that love him. The reality with him is, I think quite a lot of times he starts games and doesn't impact games as much as maybe everyone thinks he does do. And also, he's spent a large majority of his Bolton career not playing for us, which sometimes heightens his kind of what's the word?
Status.
I think it's status, yeah, because when you're losing and you're not playing, you suddenly become a lot better player in the eyes of all the fans. And another player that happened to was John Daddy Bodvarsson, who I thought was another end of the scale of Victor Adebiejo, who I've said in my reply to my tweet, because in terms of impacts on a team, I think they're pretty equal. John Daddy Bodvarsson had a great end to the season when he first joined, and then kind of, as Dempsey has done, kind of flattered to deceive, I think, and has missed a lot of football in the corresponding 2 years he was with us. Whereas Adebiejo had a bit of a bad start, and then was part of a front two, which was extremely prolific and had us top of the table in January before they both got injured. Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to Joe Randall. Joe Randall, as opposed to Kyle Dempsey, is a posh boy from Exeter who has had blonde highlights in his hair, and plays with low socks, and is more of a technical player than a get stuck in, and he is pretty weedy. And to me, he's just an easy target. And I think he had a good game yesterday. And to me, I think he had a good game, but there was a one big moment in the second half where he missed a big chance, where loads of players for us missed a big chance yesterday. Tolly missed an easy one. Cozy Doobie missed an easy one. They're both fan favourites to kind of got away with it. Whereas Randall goes through and misses, and everyone starts slamming the seats down. And then a minute later, he gets subbed off, and we all know the reaction to it. To me, I just don't think that's ever an acceptable reaction to a Bolton player getting substituted, unless they are actively making our team a million miles worse, or looks like they strolling around the pitch not bothered. Unless you score 2 own goals and have got sent off, I don't think a player should ever get that kind of reaction when they go off the pitch, and especially when I think they've had a decent game. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that go into how people and fans react to the player and a substitution rather than just how they played on that day. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd seen your post, and I'd seen yesterday's. I was honestly, my blood was boiling after that when he got subbed off. And this isn't because I like him as a footballer, because I do think he's a good footballer. I think he's proven it as well elsewhere that he's a good footballer, and he will be able to contribute to our team, provided he's played more regularly. Now, that bit, the latter, is on him. He needs to impact games. He needs to perform in training.
Yep.
He needs to do what Shuey said in his post-match reaction and grab that position by the horns and make it his own and prove everybody wrong. That bit's on him. But as a footballer, as a technical footballer, I think he's well good enough to play in a League One football team. But the reaction was absolutely hideous and embarrassing. And I think if you're one of them people that booed your own player off in that manner as well, you need to have a long, hard look at yourself, to be honest, in my opinion. It's just not a way in which you're going to get promoted if you're berating players in that manner of a team that you supposedly love. It doesn't sit very well at all with me personally. It's easy for me to say because I've got lucky enough to have a platform on here that I can say what I want within reason. But I've seen fully grown adults, a lot older than me, booing and screaming at him yesterday when he was walking off the pitch. And it's just pathetic, to be honest with you. But that's my kind of opinion and thoughts on the matter. We have to back each and every single one of them players. And like I said, to top it all off, he actually played pretty well. And also to add to it and to make all the haters think about the way in which they react even more, we haven't lost a game in which Joe Randall has started for us this season. And you can all go back and check that. So that tells you his contribution may not necessarily be in terms of them finishing touches in front of goal or that perfect assist that we all look for these days. But his off the ball work is phenomenal. Yesterday proved that once again. His running stats are better than anybody. His pressing is fantastic. And I think people just choose not to see things that are good. So yeah, pathetic, to be honest.
Dan,
sorry. Ben.
Sorry. I know you two want to have your point as well. I just want to address a comment. Good comment by Scott, and he's got a good point. He said, "Let's not forget Dempsey cost 100k and has contributed massively over the years when you compare to Rondo, who was bought for $1 million or whatever he was in the end."
Fair.
I agree with that. There is expectations that come with a price tag, but the players themselves don't set the price tag. It's not like Randall's gone, "Look, come and get me for $1 million," or Dempsey's gone, "It's all right. You can have me just for 100k." Dempsey was bought for 100k because he had 6 months left on his contract at a club in the relegation zone at the time, so he was never going to get big money for him. That was his situation at the time. I'm not here to bash Dempsey. I love Dempsey. I'm firmly in the camp that. And I've fallen in love with him because of the way he is as well. But in the same position, Joe Randall cost £1 million because he proved with Peterborough that he was one of the top attacking midfielders in the division. We didn't splash that cash on him for no reason. Like, there was evidence behind him being a good player in League One. It's not like, if we'd have bid 100k like we did for Dempsey, they'd have gone no chance. So there's context to why the money was different for both players, but also the players don't choose their own value, and it's not like, you know what I'm trying to say. But go on, Dan, Nathan, you two. The floor is yours.
Go on, Dan. You go, mate.
All right, mate. Okay. So, right, this is a tricky one. So I like Randall. I do. I think there's a few factors in which people don't rate him, and I think you can have your favourites. Players that you like, players that you don't rate, that's fine. But for me, anyone putting that shirt on and stepping out onto that pitch for us, I would not boo off personally. That's my choice. I felt uncomfortable at the game yesterday when I heard that. I did not expect it, if I'm being honest. I don't think his performance warranted that. I thought he was decent. I don't think he was a world beater. Yeah, he missed a good chance, but flipping out, we've missed chances all season, and some a lot easier than that. And also over years, I've seen players get standing ovations for worst performances, and I know this isn't like going off one game, and fans are frustrated with Randall, and I do get that completely, because he's coming at a time where Evert's probably wanting to make him kind of the man that makes us tick, the final piece of our puzzle at the time, or whatever you want to call it. And then obviously Evert's out of a job, Shuey's coming in, formations were flipped, players were rotated, players were injured towards back end of that season. He initially didn't help himself, I don't think, with some of his performances. I think there was a lot of times where he were backing out of challenges. He weren't doing the hard yards. I don't think you can fault him for that this season when I've seen him. I think that side of his game is improved, which he needed to do, much like we talked about Sheehan in that respect. I think the big issue for us in not seeing the best of Randall so far is that we're playing with a 10, and it seems to be the way we want to play. But we've not seen the best of anyone in that role yet. We've not really seen how that role can impact our team and how we play. Now, I know at Peterborough, he'd played as a 10 and he'd played like off the left at times as well. And I think it's just, with so many options, it's taking us forever to find something that clicks. And I think when Force starting with him yesterday, maybe he was looking at Force's like intelligent movements, like through the kind of spaces in between the side of the centre half, and maybe Randall threading through. I thought his work outside of the box on the ball were really neat and tidy. I do agree that he did seem to hesitate sometimes, and that is frustrating. But you could see something in what he was doing as to what he was trying to do, even though it didn't come off. And obviously, he had that header that went off the line. That's just really unfortunate. And he had that chance, which were really well worked. And he missed the shot. That's all he did. I don't think it was for lack of trying or anything like that. And as well for him, he has got a massive thing over his head in terms of that transfer fee. I know players cannot dictate it, but it must be difficult when you're coming from a Peterborough, which, no disrespect to them, but it's a different kind of stratosphere of expectation when you come to us and we're going for promotion. And he knows that he's got that over his head. And I think really it's just kind of getting, how do we get the best out of him if we want to stick with him? What does that kind of 10 position, how does that impact us more? Because in most games this season, the number 10 to me just doesn't seem to have worked in our favour, or I'm not seeing what I thought I might see from a 10 in a traditional sense, maybe. But I like him. Like I said before, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You might love a player, you might hate a player. That's up to you. I think the jeering, completely unnecessary and unwarranted. But at the same time, I think there's got to be, like Shuey said, the onus has got to be on him to prove those doubters wrong. And only he can do that. Like, nothing we say, nothing Shuey will say to him, he's going to do that. We have to somehow get the best out of him in that position. So I hope he does, because I do like the lad. I think he's got a lot of quality. But I think a big issue of it is that no one who is slotted into that role yet for more than a couple of games who's shown any signs of consistency whatsoever.
I wonder, very, very good points, Dan, and hats off to you. Very well articulated as well. I wonder whether, because a big part of being a number 10 isn't necessarily just kind of yourself as an individual, it's the players around you as well. And obviously, I know Mario's obviously took a lot of the limelight, and Gale's obviously flying now and is very good at this level. But Burstow went off to a flyer. Randall weren't playing with Burstow. And Dalby's been kind of not really played. So it hasn't really been consistency, as in that forward line that kind of helps a number 10, whether it be Randall, whether it be Force, whoever it is that's kind of playing in that position. I'm interested to get your thoughts, Nathan, before we kind of move on that really. And do you think that could be a contributing factor towards where we're at with the number 10 spot? And give me your kind of thoughts on Randall as a whole as well, please, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet because I think you guys have covered most of it. I think you're right, not having a settled, it's not that it's not settled, but, changing to adapt for different games probably doesn't help them. They should be able to play with everyone. They're professional footballers. It shouldn't make much of a difference. But you're right. When you've got someone like Burstow firing him in, Randall probably wishes he was starting games alongside him. But I just jotted 3 things down when Dan was talking, just points I thought of. look, number one, I think, is confidence. I think he hesitates on the ball because he's not flowing with confidence. I think a fully confident Randall would be making passes. Would be swooning at every game. I also think he'd be a better player in a higher level where we're not playing dross who sit with 10 men behind the ball, because we're kind of expecting, he cost a lot of money, but we're expecting miracles from a bloke who's looking up with the ball. He's got his centre forward sat between two centre halves on the 18-yard line, and Mario and Thierry on the wings, and he has to turn around and go backwards because he's not a miracle worker. He's not Messi. We can't expect him to find that through ball between the fullback and centre half for someone to run onto. So I think I wouldn't cut ties with him, because I think if we went up, I think Randall, in games where it's a bit more back and forth, you'd see a better side of him. I think it doesn't help that he's sitting in a team that's playing inside 21 men inside one half of football.
It's really
That's my view on it anyway.
Because I'm trying to think back to a game where we played like a decent opposition, and one that came to my head straight away was when we played Birmingham at home and we beat them. He was great that game, and I think he made a class assist for Collins for his goal as well. Yeah. And he played really well in that game as well. And obviously that's against the side, like you've just said, who came at us, and it was more of a proper football match, wasn't it? So it's probably a very valid point, that.
And also, when we played Peterborough away last game of the season a couple of years ago, he had a really good game, and I mean, I'd like to think we're one of the better teams in the league that season. So yeah, your point kind of holds up when he's got a team, attacking him, and he's got space to run into and space to play balls into. It suits him.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that, I think it was the Northampton game last season when Julian Darby was in charge, and he spread a lovely through ball through for Aaron Collins to score. And that's what I kind of hoped you'd see more from him, making those kind of penetrative through balls through to a striker. But whether that's just the way we play or not, and it's obviously something he's got in his locker. But yeah, we're just thinking about that then, so I thought I'd just bring it up.
Maybe how we play, but as Nathan rightly said, maybe who we are playing as well. Yeah, certainly doesn't help.
It's been the same thing, I think, for us for ages. I think that's where people's frustration with Sheehan came, last season, the season before, is you're expecting him to, pick this lock in a defence. And, like I said, he's got a bank of 10 in front of him, and he's not, what's he supposed to do with it? I think there's a lot of pressure on Randall, and you can see that he gets the ball as moments of quality, but he's nervous because the crowd almost tenses up when he gets it. And it's like, go on, then do something. And then he does it, you hear the massive groan, and he's probably thinking, again.
Yeah.
So
and then the fans decided to put a cherry on the icing on the cake yesterday with that reception.
Yeah, and he's walking off probably thinking, sod you lot, I'm not bothered. I'm going to take my money out. I hope he's not thinking like that, but I wouldn't blame him if he was.
No. Pretty sad. And that's the word that I'd use to describe that situation. Sad. Let's go to some positives. Well, 3 up, 3 down, 4 up, 4 down positives. Why didn't Ben just call this ups and downs? Why does he give a number to it?
I've no idea.
And he's aware now. We can change it. We can change it.
And he always talks about. I think we should as well. Actually, you're right. He always talks about us putting stuff through like verification channels. Sorry, this is internal.
We just have a meeting live on
processes.
Live on Earth. Internal. Yeah. He came up with these, and he didn't consult any of us. Anyway, 3 up, 3 down, 4 up, 4 down, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'll start with you, Nath. Give me your positive from yesterday, please, pal.
I'm just going to go for the spirit, the team spirit after we conceded. I thought it showed a lot of guts to pick themselves up from that position and go and get that winner. Because I think Bolton of old would have just limped to the finish line with a 1-1 and the boos would have rung out. So I thought it was fantastic that they showed that will and determination to get 3 points.
Excellent. Dan, what about you, pal?
A cameo from Sam Dalby, which I enjoyed with some proper number 9 play. we finally decided to go route one to him, and we saw on a number of occasions him holding the ball up and laying it off, and obviously that kind of contributed to Randall going through and missing that opportunity, but as well for the goal, pressing as well. It wasn't anything particularly amazing, but I just like to see us playing to his strength, to give him half a chance of showing what he can do, basically, even though it were for a short period of time.
Yeah, and we're in a bit of a predicament, aren't we, on the old number 9 situation, because Burstow's gone from a flying centre forward scoring 7 or 8 goals or whatever it is in no time to coming on and playing left wing.
No service, mate. That's the issue. The ball's not going to him. That's the frustrating bit. Like if they're getting in positions where they're having shots and missing, that's different. But they're not getting the ball in the right areas for them.
You're right. It's what Statman mentioned before, isn't it? We had 28 shots yesterday, but not from maybe the right people. And I just looked then, and it's 10 league games since our starting number 9 scored a goal, whether that be Burstow, Dolby, or Marcus Forss yesterday.
Yeah. So, for me, I think and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, and I kind of saw it in the making, but I think the area of strength in January needs to be a right winger, but a different type of right winger. Mario is wonderful, and he'll always start games. And I know people will argue, well, it's a hard sell to say to somebody, come and compete with the Mario. But if you're saying to them that you will get game time, you will get half an hour, you will get the odd start. We need a winger who can go on the outside off the right.
We need Nicky Summerby.
I was thinking
to put a ball in.
For the kids who were listening, I was thinking more of a Philip Moraes type of right winger. Somebody who'll just get to the byline and just put a ball in an area.
Liam Feeney.
What? Oh, God, I hated him, mate. Whatever. But that type of winger, do you know what I mean? That kind of right winger, anyway. I think that should be the area of strength for me in January.
Stuart Storer.
Sorry,
just laughing at that.
Old. Far too old. I don't even remember him. Ben, what about you? You're a positive.
My positive is just the range of emotions you can get at a football match. I don't think there's anything that matches it in life, to be honest. And you go from, it summed it up yesterday. I mean, you go from, me and my dad spent about 10, 15 minutes before the end of the game going, I can't believe we're not 2-0 up here. I can't believe we're not 2-0 up. We never beat Rotherham. They're going to get back to the game. And then, obviously, the penalty happens. They score the penalty. And we basically sat with our head in our hands for about 30 seconds going, how has this even happened? So we're never going to beat Rotherham again. And then, 2 minutes later, we score a winner and we're hugging everyone around us and it's happy days. So, there's nothing quite like football which can provoke a massive range of emotions in about 10 minutes. So,
Well, that is kind of what mine is, but a slightly different perspective. So, I've been drip feeding. My little boy's 4-year-old. He'll be 5 early next year. Well, the spring next year. And I've been drip feeding him to football since probably 12 months old, something like that. Take him to the odd game every 3 or 4 months or whatever, just to kind of get him used to the environment, really, and whatnot. But he's obviously getting to an age now where he's kind of to understand his surroundings a little bit more in terms of being at a football match and feels emotions, obviously, a lot more than they do when they're a lot smaller. So yesterday, obviously, when Rotherham scored, he realised that something was amiss. And obviously, because everyone's down in the dumps, and he kind of picked up on that. So instantly that meant that he was engaged in the match for the final few minutes. And my little lad loves Mario Brothers, Super Mario. And he thinks that a Mario is called Mario. He's talking about a Mario. And he thinks he's called Mario. So obviously he's looking out for him. And obviously Mario yesterday wore orange boots. So my positive from yesterday was the moment that Mario picked the ball up on the right wing and took it past his defender, my little lad was watching the game and he saw him pass to Sheehan and put it in the back of the net. Then my positive was the fact that happened, and straight after we'd scored and everything had settled down, Theo looked at me and went, well, he actually said, Mario helped the goal. So we realised that obviously he got an assist. And that's kind of what happens, which was wonderful, to be honest with you. And those of you lucky enough to have kids who can get where I'm coming from, or even the ones that haven't. That was pretty special, really, because the fact that he knew that had happened, if you get me. That was my up from yesterday, anyway.
Nice.
What about down then? We'll end on in a negative, Nathan. What was you down from yesterday?
That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question. I'm just gonna go for the penalty. I thought it was just stupid. It was a mix up at the back. Sheehan's soft pass to Christie, and Christie just lashing at it when he didn't really think. They've been great for us, so I'm not gonna bash them. It happens, doesn't it? And it was just a unfortunate moment, but it's definitely the negative of the day because we didn't need to give him that opportunity.
Yeah, for those who were listening back on audio, Dan just brought up a comment of Lord of the Darts putting, I had a proud dad moment, my 9-year-old Ving the Rotherham fans from the North Upper. I'm fully anticipating Theo to be doing that in 4 years' time, if I'm honest with you. Lord of the Darts. What about you, Dan? What's your down from yesterday?
I missed the goal. I missed the winning goal. Not because I'd left. But my lad had been asking for a wee for the past 5 minutes.
Oh.
And I kept saying no. just hold on. And he's like, right, Dad, I really can't hold it anymore. So we absolutely legged it to toilets. Came out, looked up on the screen, and the ball literally just went in the net as he'd come out. So missed the goal. And obviously we weren't in the stand for it. But, these things happen. Nature calls.
I'd have been in doing his pants. Ben, what about you?
My down is, it's two things actually. One of them was quite funny. It's to do with the big screen and how the replays. Obviously, the first one, the first big moment with the replays on the screen was when we scored in the first half, and they wandered over to the linesman. And I was looking at the screen, going, "Don't you dare show the replay on the screen!" And I can imagine the producer or whoever's in charge of showing the replays are going, "No, don't put it on yet. Don't put it on yet until he says goal." As soon as you said goal, he played it and was laughing about that. And then in the second half, my down is when Conway had them two chances back to back, and what looked like from my position a handball on the goal line when they went to show the replay on the screen. Everyone turned up to look at it, and it cut off literally just as they had the shot. So there was a big groan in the North stand going, "Oh, couldn't even see if it was a penalty or not," because there was a massive penalty shout. So yeah, some good comedy entertainment, to be fair, from who was in charge of the big screen yesterday. So hats off. But yeah, it annoyed me in the moment.
Fair, yeah, I can see why. To be fair, mine down was the whole clan came yesterday. Not only my family, but everybody on the row. So we were all kind of congested on the row. I say congested, we just didn't have a spare seat, so just sat in our seats, really. But I wasn't sat in my seat, I was sat in my brother's because his ticket got given to a friend. But I broke his seat in the melee. I ended up breaking his seat. So I got to deal with our kid on the next home game that he comes to with a broken seat. So I might have to get in touch with the club and ask them to replace it, because it is rather sharp edges and somewhat of a safety concern. So I might have to drop them a kindly worded email and ask them to change it before he comes back. So
I don't want to ask how you broke it, to be honest.
Well, just a melee of the goal, really. I think it was. Yeah, just jumping up and crack.
Yeah,
never mind. These things
interesting
happen.
comment there from Rick. It said they're not actually allowed to screen controversial decisions by the FA. So is there someone from the FA sat in the room with the guy, ready to put something on the screen or what? That's quite interesting.
I don't know, but I seem to remember hearing something similar to that. Obviously, I watched it at the same time you did yesterday, so we were all like waiting for it, and then everyone just kind of laughed when it just went, "No, you're not having it." But yeah, it does make sense, I suppose, because I think like potentially some decisions it can probably cause a kick-off, can't it? And depending on the nature of the game. So I can understand it, but it was a bit annoying when you sat there hoping you're going to see.
Never even thought about that, but it does make sense, because if the ref turns around and sees that he's made a couple of mistakes in favour of one team, maybe he gives the next big decision to the other team. So makes sense, to be fair. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, someone said in the chat that there's a fourth official, so it's an FA rep at all matches, supposedly.
Well, okay, cool.
There we are. Job's worth. Perfect job for Ben Timberlake, that actually, when he gets back from his trip.
He's been bashed a fair bit with this one.
Yeah,
he's literally only gone today, and he's already getting slated. Yeah.
Can't resist, can I? Fanzone Fan Focus. Hopefully, Dan, you've been doing your bit, pal.
Right, so for the fan focus, obviously the chat has been absolutely electric tonight. So pretty much every segment that we've gone through, we've had some brilliant responses. So I don't want to highlight things that we've gone over already because we've had a pretty decent natter about them. But just a few random bits really that I've picked up on today that I thought we'd have a look at and just get you guys' opinion on. So the first one is from STG 1969, and it's big up to girl who is to me as important as Mario, and I think that's a really solid point, especially given Mario's kind of dip in form or contributions. I know he got the assist, but he's not quite looked as having it all his own way. I think teams have kind of doubled up, and just having that outlet on the left as Gale, who's obviously electric when he gets going, I think that's a really good shout, and it keeps us a little bit less predictable, doesn't it, when we're attacking? So I don't know what you guys think about that one.
Yeah, I love him. I think I was a tiny bit skeptical about him at the start of the season because, I mean, there was barely any kind of evidence behind him playing at a decent level. I mean, he played in the Swiss league, didn't he? But I don't think he played all that much. And I feel like there was a load of hype about him through kind of not really much evidence. I mean, obviously he played decent preseason, but he didn't play that many games for us. And then he started this season, he started a little bit slow, and I think I said on one of the pods or a tweet, I said sometimes 1 minute he looks like the best player on the pitch, one minute he looks like it's his first professional game of football, and like he's done that a couple of times this season. But I think, and also when he got injured, he was just getting into his stride. He had that great game against Wigan, didn't he? And he had a couple of good games after that. And he got injured, and I was kind of worried, thinking, is he going to be the same coming back? I think he's been fantastic. I think he's been one of our best players since he's come back. Obviously, he came off the bench against Mansfield, and I thought was probably our most threatening player. And then again, came off the bench at Exeter, won the game for us. And last week at Wickham, should have had 2 goals. And then yesterday was pretty much a constant threat down the left-hand side. I think he's... And how we mentioned Cozy Duby before, saying he doesn't go on his right foot enough. I think Gale's pretty good at going both ways. I like him. He's definitely more right-footed, but he's confident still going his left foot and flashing a ball across the box or swiping at a shot or something. I just think he's massively come on since he first joined us.
Yeah, sound. Anyone want to add to that, or do you want me to move on?
I'd echo everything that's just been said.
Oh, thanks,
right.
mate.
Yeah, likewise. Listen, it's his pace, isn't it? That's the thing. Yeah. You know, they're terrified of him, aren't they? So he's going to add something on that left side, isn't he? So yeah, really good to have him back.
Wicked. Right, the next one, and I'm conscious of time, so I'm just going to go for a yes or a no answer here. So the next one is, got to try and get Ryan Hardy in on loan. Surely we can get him here, if only for the remaining season. Ryan Hardy, would you have him, yes or no? I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
No. Not trying to be controversial. I just no.
No.
I mean, you should never turn down an opportunity to sign a goal scorer. Especially
yeah or no. That's all we want.
Keep it short and sweet, Cole.
No.
Interesting. I have got a couple more saved, but I'm probably going to finish on this one, to be honest. Just conscious of time, if that's okay with you guys. So this is from Damon Jordan at Peterborough, and he's talking about Randall, obviously. Look better because he has a pacey mobile 3 in front of him and legs behind him. Teams attacked Peterborough, never sat back. It was perfect conditions for him. I think that's a really good point, actually. That Peterborough were notorious, kind of, weren't they, for scoring goals and chipping goals and then being quite open games. So I think that's actually a valid point and not something that I've thought about in terms of him affecting games. I know, Nathan, you said before that teams are just holding back against us, which is making it more difficult. But I think that's a decent comment from Damon. That.
Yeah, I'd agree. Peterborough games were always like basketball games, weren't they? Where it was, I think one season they'd like scored the second most and conceded the most in the division. So yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. Like it makes sense, and you're right. And basically, the front three they had are all playing at a high level now. So yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Colin, anything on that?
Yeah, just kind of backs up, I guess, what Nathan was saying before about playing at a higher level. Really, to be honest, you do like to think that he would be able to impact games more regularly, because I think technically he's a decent player between the years as well in terms of having a football brain, and I think if you got more players around him on a similar wavelength, that would also help as well. And you get that, of course, if you got promoted, because we'd have to sign them, otherwise we'd come straight down. So, but fingers crossed, it's still at him to see that.
Just a quick one. I know I'm not doing the fan focus, but there's a question that's just come in. I guess another yes or no. Yeah. Is it would you start him? I just wanted. I thought it was a nice way to. Finish the Randall chat.
100% it is, and I'll start by saying
no.
I would. I think he might not, just because the game is on Monday. If it was a week rest, maybe I think he would. But if it was middle to me, I'd like him to start.
The thing is with that, I know it's a simple yes or no answer. I know we are short for time there because we're well over, but I think that depends on the personality of the player and the individual, to be honest. Like, some players react better to them situations. Because if it were me personally, then what I'm like as an individual, I'd be like, I'm not going to swear because I don't swear in here, but like, sling you up and I'm going to prove you wrong, like, type of thing. And I want to play. I've been knocking on the door saying, like, play me because I want to show them. See you next Tuesday's up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not everyone's like that though, are they? So like, it depends on the individual, doesn't it? Really.
I would not have an issue with him starting. I'll say that, even though I said I don't think he will. I just think they're a proper horrible team. They can be, Mansfield at times, and I just wonder if it'll call for a bit more physicality at the top end of the pitch. That's all.
Possibly. Nathan, what was your answer to that?
I'd have said yeah. I think let's give it. He won't play at Doncaster. I think these 2 home games, and I'd start him against Northampton as well. I'd give him the 3 home games. If he's not, I wouldn't play him at Donny. I'd play him against Northampton, and I'd give him all 3.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then that would be he'd have them 3 games to start to prove it. And I think if he didn't grab it in them 3, should be justified in saying he's had his chance to grab it and he's not. But let's hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe his words after the game was an indicator that might be the case, what he's planning on doing. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Thank you, Dan.
No worries. That'll do us for Fan Focus. Thank you.
But not only thank you, Dan, thank you to everybody who's put the comments in the chat tonight. Wonderful. Greatly appreciated that. Great contribution tonight. It's been 121 people watching live or listening live tonight. Thank you very much for that. When are we back? What day are we? Who am I? What's going on?
It's
when
tomorrow
are we back,
night. I think so. If I'm not mistaken, it's tomorrow night for the preview, and it's a double header. At the moment, that's I won't say too much or much more because I don't want to overpromise. But yeah. So we're planning on doing a double header with the previews, obviously down due to the fact that, of course, we've got a lot of games in a very short period of time. So. Kill a couple of birds with one stone. Ben, thank you for tonight, pal. Thank you, mate.
Dan, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And of course, Nathan, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. A lot of love in the chat at the end, so thank you very much for that. See you on the next one. Come on, you whites.
Take care.
Later, gents.
See you in a bit.
Pleasure.